Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going over a new poll from Atlas Intel, which was one of the highest ranked pollsters in the 2024 presidential election, getting every single swing state correct. They have a new poll for the 2028 presidential primaries for both the Democrats and the Republicans. I'll be breaking them down here in this video today, and then looking into how it feeds into the overall average of polls and where things stand. In this new poll by Atlas Intel, it shows a new Democrat, Pete Buttigieg, has actually jumped ahead of former Vice President and 2024 Democratic nominee Kamala Harris for first place in the 2028 Democratic primary presidential election. The poll found Pete Buttigieg with the support when it came to those identifying as Democrats. Pete Buttigieg got 27.7% of the vote. Just right behind him was Kamala Harris at 24.1%. New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, now steadily in a few polls now, has been in either second or third place. She is again in third place at 15.9%. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker is also seen his polling numbers rise following his filibuster Senate speech. He is in fourth place at 8.7%. Followed in fifth place by Governor of Michigan Gretchen Whitmer, 8.6%. Governor of California Gavin Newsom in seventh place at about 7%, 6.8%. Then we have Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock, none of the above, 1.7%, and then Chris Murphy, the Senator of Kentucky, behind him. Very big numbers here on the Democratic side. We'll be getting more into that as well in just a bit, but first onto the Republican side as well. Asking voters to identify as Republicans, the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, currently holds an overwhelming majority over the rest of the field, Vance getting 59.8% of respondents. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis gets 8.8%. Former Florida Senator and now Secretary of State Marco Rubio has 8.6%. Former South Dakota Governor and now Trump administration official Kristi Noem has 8%. None of the above, 5.5%. Tucker Carlson, the news personality, has 4.6%. Glenn Youngkin, 3.4%, Governor of Virginia. And Vivek Ramaswamy, who's running for Governor of Ohio, has 1.3%. On the Republican side of things, there's really not too much to take away from this, other than the fact that really confirms what we already know, which is right now the 2028 Republican primary essentially determines how well President Trump and the Trump administration is doing. If the Trump administration is viewed positively by the Republicans, J.D. Vance will be the nominee in 2028 if he runs. He'll be the continuation of the Trump administration, and if they're doing good, he will win. The Democratic side of things, however, it's getting very, very interesting. This is the first poll with Buttigieg and Harris going head to head that shows Buttigieg now ahead of Harris in a very, very close race. In the last few videos I've mentioned that following the presidential election, the first immediate polls asking the party that lost, who would you like to see your nominee be again in 2028 or in the next election? The previous candidate who just lost almost always has a long, strong support going into the next election because they were just on top of the ballot. Everyone knows who that candidate is because every single person that voted in the United States saw their name on the ballot. So for Kamala Harris, I expected her support to be very high right now due to the fact she was just on the ballot in November, and this will eventually wane a little bit over time. However, just 4 months short now, or 4 months after the start of the new year, start of 2025, Kamala Harris for the first time has gone to second place in the poll. And Pete Buttigieg, the former Biden administration official and 2020 presidential candidate, is the one to now be ahead of the poll, or now be in first place of the poll, which is very, very interesting because for the past few videos now, I've mentioned it's looked like Kamala Harris has been in first place, Pete Buttigieg has been pretty strong in second place, but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has had the polling momentum. Now in this poll, it shows that Buttigieg has also gotten a bit of polling momentum. And one thing I've noticed as well here is what are the Democratic voters in the primary in this poll suggesting? Well, when you look at it, Pete Buttigieg, first place, AOC, third place, Kamala Harris, second place. All three of which would be from a younger generation of Democrats than Joe Biden and such, and Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. It seems Democratic voters want a younger, more energetic voice in the Democratic Party. Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, AOC, they're sort of the next generation of Democrats and not of the Joe Biden era, and it seems a lot of Democratic voters want to move in that direction right now for 2028. When you look at the overall polls done in the 2028 that have been done so far for the Democratic primary, This is now the first one to have Pete Buttigieg in first place when it's directly Buttigieg going up against Harris. And this is going to have huge ramifications as well for 2028, especially when we start talking about the 2028 national primary. On the website Race to the White House, or race to the WH.com, you'll see they do a track of the 2028 polling line. Harris, after about November 10th or so, she really skyrocketed up to about 40% in the average. She went down by January 1st to about 35%, but she's been hovering around that mid-30s percentage for a while now, until about 2 weeks ago, where she was at 35%, and now a few weeks later, she's down to about 26.7. She's still in their average leading the Democratic primary field, and right now, if the primary was held today, it's more likely than not Harris will be able to win, but follow the momentum, though. In the last 2 weeks, Harris's support in the Democratic primary field has been shrinking, whereas there's 3 candidates whose support is skyrocketing. Number one, Pete Buttigieg, he's been hovering, he was starting around 10% or so, then he dipped a little bit to about 7%, and then in the past few months, he's gone back up to 10, and he's remained pretty stagnant around 10%. Coinciding with Harris's numbers going down by about, 35 down to about 26, so Harris goes down about 10 points, Buttigieg goes up from 10.9 all the way up to 16.6, so about a 5-point gain for Kamala Harris, or for Pete Buttigieg, taking away Kamala Harris. But it's not been only Buttigieg. New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's been doing a lot of events around the country with Bernie Sanders as a part of Sanders Stop Oligarchy U.S. tour. AOC is starting out around probably 3 to 4% or so, with a pretty passionate following. Now her numbers are starting to grow as well. By the middle of March, she was up to about 6%, and now she's up all the way to about 13%. So AOC was seeing her support double in the last few weeks as well. And the big wild card here is also Senator Cory Booker, who was around 1.8% around April 10th. He gives his filibuster record-breaking speech in the U.S. Senate. Democrats rally around it. Republicans think, well, is this really a big deal? Does this really have an effect? In the 2028 Democratic primary, it seems the answer is yes, because Booker has seen his support go from about 2 points all the way up to 8 points now, which would put him in 4th place on the Democratic average. And it should be worth noting, when Booker ran for president in 2020, he never got the traction of getting 8% of support of Democrats in the primary. He never had that much support. And this average so far, that's what he has. So this poll is very interesting because not only does it show Pete Buttigieg is now the leader in the new poll for the 2028 Democratic primary, but in the overall conversation for 2028 and the averages, it shows Harris is starting to lose momentum even quicker than I thought she would, and new Democrats like Buttigieg, AOC, and Cory Booker are starting to rise up, and maybe even starting to overtake Harris's position, depending on how this progresses. But again, 2028, I can't stress this enough, is still a while away. We're really not going to get really talking about 2028 until after the 2026 midterm elections, which is going to be in about, a year and like 4 months. So this is going to change a lot over the next year and a half to 2 years or so, but it is interesting. We're already seeing Harris's numbers starting to go down, especially as she is mulling a 2026 governor run in California, where she's almost a shoo-in to win that Democratic primary, or a 2028 presidential run, where now it seems she may be facing a lot tougher competition in 2028 than she would be in a California governor run. But I'm interested to hear what you think about this. Leave a comment below telling me your thoughts about this poll and about Buttigieg and AOC and Cory Booker's rise and Kamala Harris's downfall here. I'm very interested to hear what you think about this. Am I overreacting to this? Is this a big deal? Or do you think this is actually the beginning of the end, potentially, of Harris's possible 2028 candidacy? Make sure to click the like on the video. Also, make sure to click subscribe, as I post 2 new videos every single day that you're not going to want to miss. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.